This is the Spirit and Wellness Show. News and information from a higher perspective. With your host, Harry Wilkinson.
Yes, hello, this is your host, Harry Wilkinson, and welcome once again to the Spirit and Wellness Show. This is the show where we take a look at the days and weeks, events, happenings in the world, happenings in politics, in technology, in science, in everything that affects our lives, and we take a step backwards and we look at it from a higher perspective. And from a higher perspective, we're talking about what you might call a spiritual perspective. You might think of it as a metaphysical perspective, or you just might think of it as a philosophical approach to life. It all depends on what you're comfortable with. If you've listened to the show before, you know my take on what is going on around us and how we are co-creators of everything that's going on around us. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, I will elaborate on that as we go along. I think that you'll understand, or at least have a general idea of what my approach is and what I'm talking about when I say a higher perspective. We are not a religious program here, although we do talk about religion quite a bit. And I emphasize the difference between spirituality and religion. There's a big difference, and the two are often conflated, and hence the great opportunity for, misunderstandings about what spirituality is and what we are in relationship to it. So that is what we talk about on this program, and of course we look at wellness issues, things to keep you happy and healthy. I look at this approach that I talk about, seeing our world from a higher perspective as being a wellness issue, because increasingly so much of what we interact with via news media and just out in the world in general can seem very toxic, can seem overwhelming, and can certainly make you feel disappointed, frustrated, angry, depressed, you name it. So ways of looking at what's going on around us without shrinking away from it, but ways of looking at it in a healthy sense, in a way that you can absorb it without feeling like it is tearing you apart or absorbing you. These are, I think, essential approaches to life today. And so that's what I focus on. It's been a while since I've been back. We've been off air really since the holidays. And I've been retooling and recalibrating the show for 2017 as we face some new realities, which we're certainly going to talk to today. I chose the title, What Do We Do Now? Because it seems to be overwhelmingly the question on everyone's lips. From questions from my listeners to just people that I run into on a daily basis or work with, it is this sense of, what now? And it comes, mostly it's said or thought about in relationship to the recent events of November's election, in which Donald J. Trump has become the President of the United States, something that, quite frankly, most people thought would never happen. And many people were and still are terrified by. In fact, there's a sense of incredulity about it among many people, a sense of unreality about it, as if we've stepped into some alternate reality. Well, it's an interesting place to start out with on this show, because as if you've listened to the show before, you know my take on what we perceive to be reality is that we are creating it all. It is not the truth of who and what we are, but it is sort of a hologram or a virtual reality game that we create. Because at our highest level, the truth of who and what we really are is that we are these amazing beings, these creatures that are unstoppable, that are capable of creating magnificent things. We are beyond such ideas as illness, as despair, even beyond death. We are at our highest level, at the metaphysical level, we are one being. We are one divine mind. And being these incredible creatures to whom weakness does not mean anything, we create a environment in which we sort of take form, kind of like an avatar or a character in a game, a virtual reality game, if you will. And we define parameters. We create a situation where we are playing as if we are weak, or we are confused, or we are scared, or we are poor. We do not have access to the things we need, so on and so forth. And we engage in this human game, if you will, precisely to experience things that we as our highest selves would never experience. And to experience these things and then to overcome them and to become more aware, more fully aware, or to reawaken to the truth of who and what we are. Basically, that's the idea. So when you are faced with situations that seem daunting, when the news that you're hearing across your television or your radio or your iPad or whatever media you use seems to be so overwhelming, the idea is to go into that feeling. In fact, feel it as deeply as you can. And then when you've reached the point where the feelings have become the most intense, then you recognize the truth of it. You recognize that you've created this, that this is a creation of yours, a magnificent creation, and a creation that is supporting you in your evolution, in your becoming, in your game playing, in the human game. And then you take the energy from that situation. You literally take energy from it. Because you put energy into creating it, and you can take that energy back. And that does, well, a number of things. First of all, it makes you feel back in the driver's seat. It puts you back into feeling that you've got some control over your life. That's one. It's an empowerment kind of thing. The second thing that it does is it actually does take that energy back and allows you to then use it to create something different. And it allows you to interact with what you might initially perceive to be negative or toxic or something difficult. And it allows you to interact with that, take control of it, and see it as something else. See it as a creation of yours and a gift that has something in it for you. So many people, who are perhaps spiritually minded or on a spiritual path, find, the things that they are confronted with, via the media or via entertainment and so forth, to be disturbing, so much so that their impulse is to, shut it all down, cut themselves off from media, don't turn on the TV, don't listen to the radio very much, and just to kind of turn away from all of it. And there's certainly some validity to that, for sure. You don't need to wallow in these things. You don't need to let them overtake you. On the other hand, you're missing an opportunity, and you're also, quite frankly, going to fail at it. Unless you're willing to move to a mountaintop and be off the grid. If you are living your life, you're going to be interacting with these things in one way or another. You're not going to be able to successfully close it out for very long. For a while, yeah. I mean, you could take a 2-week vacation from all of it, which I certainly recommend doing. But as far as, trying to live as if these things don't exist, trying to tune them out, it's not going to be possible for very long. And then when you find yourself unable to do it, it sets up a feeling of disappointment in that as well. So there's also a very good reason why you should not only not turn away, but you should go in, as I described before, because it has something for you. It has a gift for you. It has a reminder for you about who's creating all of this. And it's very empowering once you understand how to do it. And then you don't have to be afraid anymore. You don't have to be trying to make the world go away, if you will. So let's talk about what do we do now. As I said, that question has come up. In fact, I believe it's the title of a speech, I think, that Marianne Williamson is giving. I think I saw that somewhere. It might have been at Unity or something like that. I've been talking about, for the past year or so on this show, about what I call the transition era.